also somebody. We will also have to have somebody from other organizations, like Indian Army, is Army Training Command's head, the head of the military assistant to the Army commander. He's likely to join. So I had a word with him. He said, yeah, I would like to actually join. So once we get into the webinar mode, we will actually look at it. Right. So that is what it is. Pradeep, do we automatically go in, or you have to shift us? Okay.
So already I started the webinar.
Moved us into the webinar mode.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Right. Okay. So the participants are just logging in. So we will wait for a few minutes before we start this up. And, okay, Neha, let us have the ball rolling. Others will join. Let's start on time.
All right, sure.
Yeah.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here. I would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone who has joined us today for our session. Artificial intelligence is no more just an intellectual language. It has become a common language. And it has been said that it's not AI which will make us jobless. Rather, the folks who use AI will replace those who don't. Since its arrival, AI has taken the world by storm. It's growing fast, and many companies are using it to enhance their growth. From sales to management, organizations are developing AI-based solutions for every problem. We see artificial intelligence in many functions of a company. How about HR? Can the HR department also leverage AI? To discuss this and much more, we have a panel of industry leaders in HR. Let me now introduce you to our esteemed panel. First, Mr. Aditya Pal Singh, Talent Acquisition Head at Informatica, is a talent acquisition professional with a progressive career in multicultural and matrix environment. He has specialist and functional skills that have been proven over 19 years, spanning the entire gamut of talent acquisition. With a blend of working in both consulting and MNC organizations and a career span predominantly focusing on talent acquisition globally, he has designed and deployed talent acquisition strategy to meet the talent growth needs, and he has exposure to setting up recruitment processes and development of recruitment tools and technology. Next is Mr. Vishwanath Raju. He's a seasoned HR talent acquisition professional with over 18 years of experience in managing talent acquisition in product development and investment banking captive organizations. He has managed business transformation with talent acquisition strategy, managed global talent branding, candidate experience, and university relations. Currently, he is managing talent acquisition for Dun & Bradstreet India Tech. Next, Mr. Nadeem Pasha, currently working as talent acquisition head at Robosoft Technologies, is a career-oriented management professional with 19 years of experience in the areas of HR, which span across talent acquisition, merger and acquisition, organizational policies, and HR operations. Apart from this, he is also a career coach, mentor, motivational speaker, and tutor across different universities and HR conclaves. Last but definitely not the least, Mr. Jaydeep Reddy, Talent Acquisition Head at Advanced IT and Support Services in India, is a recruitment leader in technology product recruitment for the last 18 years. He's an active speaker in talent acquisition forums and events. He's experienced in setting up technology teams in new geographies and always looks for opportunities to make an impact across organizations. He is known for his willingness to explore the unexplored, curiosity to learn new things, and openness to work in a small or a big team setup. Not waiting any further, I would now invite our moderator, Dr. Colonel P.S. James, a veteran from the Army. Sir took an early retirement to join corporate sector, and later he shifted to academics. He has spent over 7 years in TAPME, Manipal, largely consulting in HR, competency framework, performance and change management. Sir has also written a textbook on organizational behavior, which was published by Pearson, and there are multiple international journal publications under his name. Sir, I request you to take this discussion.
Thank you very much, Neha. And once again, welcome to the esteemed panel. Okay, Adim, Aditya, Raju, and Jaydeep. It would be a very, for the audience whom I personally invited or joined, it would be a wonderful experience to understand artificial intelligence beyond, what we see in the another world of, robots doing this and that. But without actually the robotics component about it, there could be a lot of work that we do on our day-to-day affairs. And that is what we are going to focus on, and not necessarily, the robotics alone. Okay. Because we believe that there's a misconception that artificial intelligence means only robotics. Okay. So, for example, somebody delivering your food in your house, a robot coming and handing over food in your cabin. My son who is in the US who works in that space, actually, they got some kind of stuff like that. But here we are talking about the use of artificial intelligence for enhancing, the employer experience, the employee experience, the selection experience, the human resources experience, much of which is under challenge today because we have got smaller and smaller HR departments and greater demand on creating the experience for the employees so that, the employees do a wonderful job. And as I sometimes pull the leg of the CEOs and make you people rich. Okay, so good that on the lighter side of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to ask for some questions, right? Okay, I will ask as a kind of on a random basis to somebody, and then we will take one or two views. And if the audience have got any queries, I request you to put it in the chat box. I'll keep looking at my chat from time to time. I might field an odd question from the chat if I find it extremely relevant. I hope you will give me that privilege. Or at the end, we would probably spend a few minutes in answering the questions of our esteemed audience, without whom, of course, no panel discussion can actually take place. So with that, I'm just going to go into the first one. Whenever an employee comes to an organization, first, of course, is getting a job. And before they're getting the job, I think all companies have to post a job, and somebody has to see that job and somebody has to apply for it. And therefore, can I just ask you, in job posting, it's a very important component because, it is like the effectiveness of the marriage bureau. If the marriage bureau don't do a good job, you won't obviously get a groom or a, bride. So the similar way, can I ask this question, I don't know, to Mr. Aditya Pal to start with? In job posting, what is your experience of employing artificial intelligence? What would you have done so far? What would you like to do?
So job posting is the most important part. I think that's the branding of the role, which companies have gone ahead and identified, looking at what's the kind of talent they are looking at. So obviously JD in a lot of the organization is the most used job description because it's the same one which gets posted again and again from an organization perspective. You have the same set of people. What the problem is, people look at job descriptions from a perspective of the last person who moved out. For them, that's the best form of job description, which is incorrect. So predominantly, we need to move from a position-based to a skill-based setup, right? That's the direction which companies need to move. From an AI perspective, it's important. There are multiple tools in the setup now, which companies are doing it to. One, to articulate the job description well, to have a very unbiased job description. There are tools, I don't want to land up branding some of the tools, but there are tools which will see if it's an unbiased job description, is it explaining what needs to be explained? Companies have taken it further, one step further up to looking at video job descriptions. What we have also gone ahead and done that of the hiring manager giving a 1 minute or a 45 seconds elevator pitch about the role and speaking about it and telling, instead of saying what is required, he or she explains what the person will land up doing, right? So a lot of time, the guardrails of saying that the experience and having this kind of degree from this institute, that's slowly going away, of looking at people who could effectively do this role more from a technology standpoint. So, the evolution of a very systematic job description with an unbiased approach, with using technology to present it further, and looking for people in the skill area, not looking at from a position angle. I think that's what Mr. James moved towards now.
So that's a very wonderful thing. Let me next shift on to Mr. Jaydeep Reddy. Now, if something is posted like what Mr. Aditya actually said, and I'm going to read it. Can I ask you some questions on it, and will you be able to answer using artificial intelligence? You put a nice ad there. I said I want to know a little more about it before applying. Yeah,
absolutely.
Would that be possible? Is it possible now? Would it be possible in the near future?
No, so it is possible now. There are chatbots which is enabled to you when you post a question saying that, okay, hi, my name is James. And then the response is immediately hi, James. And again, it's a personalized response. Okay, it's not a thing, right? And again, it's all based on what you key in, and then it processes it and then comes back to you saying that, okay, Mr. James, thank you so much for showing interest with the organization. Again, not quoting any brand, I can say that, okay, Danske Bank. What is your previous experience, or what skills that do you reflects your profile? Based on that, it automatically searches the jobs and then show you saying that, okay, here is the 10 jobs that you could be potentially suitable for the role. Would you like to apply? So the more and more narrower that you go in, you tend to become the more closest profile for a particular job, if those jobs are existing in that organization. Or if you want to look at Naukri.com today, partially yes, partially they're still working on it. They're trying to get a stage where if I have a 10,000 skills, and then they'll show you what is the top 100 or 50 jobs that can come up and say that this is the finest jobs that you could apply, and then land up in an interview based on the profile, based on the skills that you have used in the chat experience. And all these are personalized experiences. It's not a commonly built microservices.
So I think that would be a very wonderful experience for a candidate who actually trying to look for a job, because if I can interact with the company representative, though it might be an artificial intelligence resource, there's nothing like it, because otherwise I would never be ever interacting with you, I suppose, till the time, you call for me interview and I land up there, and then, somebody like Vishwanath Raj will say, hi, I'm Vishwanath Raj, head of talent acquisition, welcome to the interview. So, okay. So I wanted to ask, Nadeem, and then come to Vish on this very vital issue, I thought, on what is your experience of using this artificial intelligence in this kind of an interactive process before the guy actually want to see him on face-to-face on an interview. I mean, I put it that way. Yeah. I think Nadeem, you're on mute. Yes.
Nadeem, you're
okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Now you're okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. James, and thank you all my able colleagues, and thanks for the opportunity to represent all of you. So my personal feeling regarding job description is it's the face of the organization, right? Because you are going to attract someone unknown to your organization, which makes the person feel comfortable that this is the right place for them. I always talk skill as secondary. Skill always keeps changing. What is needed yesterday is not the need what I have today, and it will never be the same for tomorrow. So skill keeps changing. There is during the stereotype days, I remember as a recruiter, we used to type one specific skill very common, right? We used to make it very common. If the text appears most number of times in the job description, people used to feel, yes, yeah, this is the role I would like to go for, right? So those days are gone. Those days doesn't exist anymore. By saying this, what meaning I would like to draw is don't make your job description very boring, very monotonous, using the same word or a same language or same skill repeatedly. So thanks to artificial intelligence and machine learning, which is bringing more and more neutral views to it. So what will happen is the success what a person is going to do, it is going to give them a relevant responses, and the quality of the applicants gets filtered. So let me take a simple example. We were using one tool called Zwayam some time back. That's got recently acquired, right? So you post a job. The job will ask you before posting, the recruiter, it will ask n number of questions so that the searches become very easier. Unlike what Jaideep told, you don't have to search 10,000, 2,000, a lakh kind of a series. You can search only in 15, 20 resumes to get the best. So there is another tool that helps recruiters to improve the content of the postings. There is a tool called Textio, right? So what will happen here is it tweaks in the way you are going to post, the quality of the applicants. Right? It uses NLP as a technique at the back end. And this is widely used in a lot of IT services firms where the hiring is in bulk and people does not have much of time for them to scrutinize so many CVs and come back with the answer and all that. Also, some of these tools are going to help in segregating the relevant target audience. Like example, in my previous organization, we would like to welcome back some of the female candidates. The reason maybe they would have taken a break, career break because of maternity or some other personal stuff, right? So we want to run a campaign to welcome back some of those candidates. They have definitely taken a break in their skill, but not in their will. Will is high, skill is slightly low. So we want to give an opportunity for their willingness to show or showcase the performance. So we ran an ad and we welcomed some of these female candidates, and we invested some good amount of time and money behind them, likely around 120 days of program we did. And in these 120 days of program, they are quite equivalent to the relevant experience employees what we are having in the organization. So this tool has really helped us, right? So what I want to tell Mr. James and the entire community is, please go back and evaluate what is the intent you have before you start using artificial intelligence. Intent is the key here. And second, once you get into the intent, make the job of your easier first, so that you are becoming confined and you are becoming unique in your approach. If your job is becoming confined, unique, and recruiters have enough time, then they will be able to do a justice using all artificial intelligence, Textio or Zwayam or any other tool, and bring it to their way of handling and make it easier for them to navigate, and searches becomes quite easier. Target audience will be relevant and give them the best experience. Ultimately, however we deep dive, experience matters. Experience to the candidate matters a lot. So give them the best and the best experience irrespective of the result. The result will be on the card. That's how I would like to conclude this.
I'll just skip to, Vishwanath Raju, because we are now talking about job posting, sourcing, and screening as a one entity. Right, okay, it's all rolled into one, can be done through the artificial intelligence. So what is your experience in working with job posting, sourcing, and screening through the artificial intelligence?
Yeah, so thank you, Jackson, for this opportunity. Thanks, Dr. James. And I'm sure a very interesting question that you asked. So I think we'll take a step back, right? So what is happening is there's a lot of buzz on, hey, let's also use AI, right? So, but there's a lot of intent which Nadeem pointed out, right? So what is that problem statement you are looking at? AI gives you an array of things like machine learning, algorithm, data, deep learning, reinforced learning, computer vision, natural language processing, robotics, cognitive computing, all of these array of technologies or algorithms that AI can give you. But why AI has become very, very popular, why it has become little important now is the question that we need to ask before we get into that question. What is happening is speed has become little more important as we speak. More than that, experience has become a lot more important. So this particular technology, AI, can actually cut across in these two different things that we can look at, right? So assume, I'm sure everyone watches a science fiction movie, right? So your thoughts getting materialized as job descriptions job descriptions get into some kind of a marketing on them directly. The marketing gets some of the CVs. They're actually going to the right set of people, and people getting assessed through chatbots. Chatbot gives you the results of people that you should talk to. This robot is doing some clarification questions and all of these people. By the morning that you want to wake up, you see 10 people that you should talk to. That's the kind of technology that has come in today. Gone are those days where we have to talk to 150 people and understand how many of them are interested. All these technologies can be used. I'm not propagating any specific company as we speak today, but right from job description management to sourcing heavily cognitive computing is being leveraged. Then we're talking about screening, chatbots are heavily leveraged. Then we're talking about interview process. We have great tools like HackerRank, HackerRank, who actually does this thing. And obviously there's a concept of code pair, which actually enables us to do match of the current person's ability to do this thing, coding and all of that. And coupled with the offer management and then gamification way of looking at onboarding, it gives the person the view that organization is a future organization, right? So sometimes you take the technology not because you want it, it is also the trend. Sometimes you take the technology because you feel that you are advanced. So either of the two cases, now industries have not got any options, because sometimes AI also becomes cheaper, right? And it can also replace human beings. So now it is not any option anymore as I speak. And in fact, that's a research documentation that is also available. AI is no more an option. You take it, you have these advantages. Yes, people still feel that it is in a nascent stage. It has some bias of it, and it cannot think like human beings and all that. But let's understand, it is also created by human being, right? So it takes some time. Yeah, it will take some time by the time it gets mature the way we would want to, but it is already showing results in the way that we are looking at it. That's my submission.
Thank you very much. That's a very wonderful insight. So that's the first thing that we wanted to actually touch upon. And the second theme is of course, the most important component of the talent acquisition, whether you can actually do partially the interview and at least partially the competency identification, which all of us are always, worried about, engaged. And while identifying the competencies, it becomes, the interview bias is very high over there, and like Raju might find this guy is very fit, and Nadeem might say, oh my God, I find exactly the opposite. Even with all these famous behavioral event interview in which I've been in the interview process for several companies, I find the same problem. We got the difference. Can I start with Jaideep Reddy with you on this competency identification, use of AI in competency identification and interview? Of course, competency identification becoming a part of the interview process. So I put both the themes together. Right. Here you go, sir.
Let me take one step backward. Just continuing my thoughts on the previous question, right? Yeah. One is when I apply, before even apply, I come to a website and say that, okay, my skill is XYZ. And then finally, there is a 5 jobs that I want to apply. And then the most relevant or the most closest to my skills appears on top of the list, and I apply for the job. Okay. The next, during the applying things, and the organizations has started working out, is doing a gamification while you apply and you get a response. The gamification will help you to analyze like 4 or 5 important skills. One is what is your comprehension of the language, and then what is your ability to do a multitasking, right? From applying a job, and then you are also responding to some of the questions in a time bound thing, so that your skills are tested out there. That's the one thinking about. And in addition to that, there are a lot of tools that are available even before you meet a person. Say that, okay, is my candidate is relevant from a role perspective? One is, of course, your certification gives you a picture of what is a skill competency, and relevancy for the role will also be known by the kind of platforms. Like, for example, if you go on for a personality assessment platforms, which will help you say, okay, is the person is high on the tech, or high on the people, or high on is it a leader or a follower, or what kind of personality is all about, right? And those are all built algorithms based on an instant response from you as it comes out. And in addition to that, coming back to the platforms, again, not naming the organizations. Today, if you put up a coding question on a platform, you will find that, okay, the platform will give you the top 10 people who coded better for a particular question, and then say, here is the, the 10 people with the coding ability and the time and the response that come closer to your, things. So you don't have to interview thing. You will have a semi-baked food in front of you before you go in for doing a full-fledged baking. So it's all built on a natural learning processing, NLPs or AI or a machine learning. It is all takes time, but the moment it is matured, you will have a full-fledged. You don't have to do anything. But in the day 1 or day 5 of yours implementing these platforms, you tend to have a half-baked food where your efforts of the people is you don't have to do anything about it. That's
So I'm going to take this question onward to Mr. Aditya. And in the same area, you will appreciate that though in the conventional method, we would have, we will try to do at least the behavioral event interview. And then, sometimes you feel you're not very comfortable with the answer this person is giving. And then we go on and on with the questions till the time we, are able to make up our mind this way or the way. Is the guy, professionally bluffing me through? Okay. And then I might believe this way with my biases out there. Keeping this in mind, okay, my good question would be, it's an elaboration on that. How objective can we actually use AI in shortlisting a candidate with an appropriate competency?
Yeah, so I think similar to what Jaydeep said was, there are assessment tools from a skill standpoint. Obviously, the shelf life of a skill is very small. It's continuously evolving as we go further up. So there are tools, I'm forgetting the name, Biometrics. They use gaming as a technology for assessing people. So you can't sieve your way through because your true self will come out. Because what companies have gone ahead and they had their employees going ahead and looking at giving that assessment, and they're going to match that. So how do you break that from an assessment standpoint, looking more from a culture standpoint? One is that. Secondly is looking at what you're looking for and mapping it using AI and ML are very loosely used words in the space which we are in. So we're using some of the ML part of, maybe the NLP part to looking at how do we see the resume fitment. There are enough tools looking at resume fitment, what's coming, and they will articulate, well, this person is this much fit to the JD and this much fit to the position where we are in, right? So these two ways, you can, one, look at having an unbiased approach from a hiring perspective, then, also having bots to basically question people back on how do they react to those situations. All that gets articulated pretty well. And then you see, okay, X person reacts to this way in this situation, and then Y will react to that. And these are all, pre-fed in questions, right? So, and then you look at then the human part of saying that, okay, this will work, this will not work. Now, the unhuman part of doing it, there are now organizations which will give you an interview panel, which has an unbiased approach to whole thing. They'll give you the interview panel. They'll go ahead and assess the people. They have nothing to do with the organization. They have everything to do with the individual capability. And so you get an unbiased approach from a fulfillment standpoint. So you have both machine and non-machine both working together, but the organization needs to see what works for them.
Right. So that's a wonderful capability, because I think because of this facility, you can at least put the material that the candidates generate to a neutral panel. That's a very good insight which Aditya has brought out. Otherwise, that the panel may not be available, and panel can't sit so long. Panel cannot work at whatever time. So a lot of the stuff is overcome because of this particular facility that we have. I'm going to deliberate a little more time on it because this competency identification is the Achilles heel of all companies, okay, and all organization-wide companies, okay, because I had the opportunity to do a great competency mapping for the IAS Officers Academy for selection of civil services. So having done that, the question is that, how will we identify these competencies when we interview the candidates for the IAS, okay? And then came, the Union Public Service and Commission people all have to be trained in, behavioral interview. And those guys are all, ministers and very so senior old people. They said, they're not going to sit for training. Okay, so that kind of a challenge came up over there. So keeping this in mind, I'm just going to slip on to move on to Mr. Nadeem Pasha. What is your belief and possibilities of using this artificial intelligence in hardcore competency identification? I want to get different views on it because it's such an overwhelming topic on it. Okay, competency identification, because competence is being predictors of performance. If you can identify it correctly, I think the performance should be there. Other things being, of course, the organizational culture, no doubt about it. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. James. So, I want to give one example. Actually, I would like to
that'd be wonderful.
talk about. I would like to give one case study or a story, which is a real-time story which we have done. Maybe AI part of it, I have my able colleagues. They will keep adding about it. But especially on the first question of the competence mapping and identifying the right skill. So what has happened, this I'm talking in the year 2016 when I was a part of a company called Huawei Technologies, which is one of the top brand in the telecom industry. My colleagues are aware. So what has happened there is, if you just go back 8-9 years back, Android and iOS are the two key skill which is killing the market, right? Which is coming out from the traditional approach of your smartphones to smartphones, right? So everybody was luring to become smart. I'm not saying that before they were not smart, they were definitely, but they were becoming more and more smarter using these smartphones. So one key technology or one key thing, what Huawei as an organization in a group of experts of interviewers, including HR and everybody, what we did is to identify this competency mapping and to hire the right person. The interview process, what we adopted is very, very different. So we didn't allow the candidate to come and give a very stereotype of interview, sitting in front of the panel, we are asking questions, answering no. So we used to welcome the candidate in a very warm way. Once the candidate enters, right? So there was a whiteboard and there is a big program returned in iOS. So there was a proper program written in iOS using Kotlin as a tool and so on. So the person should know Swift, the person should know Kotlin, person should have a deep understanding of the basics of Java. Okay? Some of these things has to be aware. So there is already a program, good, I can say around 17-18 lines of coding structure has already been defined on the white page or on the whiteboard. So what we will do is we'll ask the candidate, we'll give a marker to the candidate. We'll ask the candidate to write an output. Okay, here the way of writing an output is not about writing the accuracy. Okay, it is not about writing the exact part of it. It's all about the logic. What is the logic that person is using to draw the right fitment for the code, which is already written on the whiteboard. So one is the logic part of it. Second, and it does not have to be a very lengthy one. It is just a small 2 or 3 liners. If this person is able to understand the logic in a sequence, right? It can be a data structure or it can be anything. This person is in. But the good part of it is if the person writes that right, whoever is the candidate, the person is a reject. So here there is no human effort involved. So nobody is going to talk to the candidate. There is an interviewer sitting. There is a HR guy sitting. The third one is the candidate. That's it. And we are all observers. We are just meeting it. If the person writes the logic as an output, he or she is a reject. So what do we expect from this? There are 2 expectations the way we are evaluating the candidate. One, first of all, there is some problem in the code, which is a bug in some 8th or the 9th line of the total 20 lines of the program. Okay, somewhere it is there hidden in the line, hidden in the entire program. That's first thing. So what is that we are assessing here? We are assessing whether the candidate knows the basics of the programming very well to identify where is the error, right? Where is the mistake in the program? Which you having that mistake in the program, you can't generate a real-time output if you are writing the same thing on a machine, right? So first thing, the identification of the error is the key. The second, the most important thing which is superseding that is the courage. The candidate has sufficient courage to challenge the architect who is sitting at the opposite end to tell he is wrong. Right? These two things are very, very key when you are doing a situational based sort of an interview process. Anybody who writes a code is a reject. So we have, in fact, we have tested almost 35 to 40 candidates before we hired one. Okay, this person, the one who entered here, right, entered in the office, he took 20 minutes to think what he has to write. Then after standing for 20-25 minutes, he gulped 2 big glasses of water. Okay, after gulping 2 big glasses of water, he took the marker and he came back to that 9th line of the program, and he just put a small underline to that specific code, saying having this code, somehow I am slightly concerned that I may not be able to generate output. So that's the only way we have hired the person. So there was no other interviews. There were no other face-to-face interaction. There was just a basic HR fitment interview to understand the salary. That's it. But one single underline in the program has succeeded the candidate to enter into the organization. Okay, this is the simplest and the easiest way of hiring a candidate. What we have done, one way. How does this getting replicated in artificial intelligence and machine learning? This is universal truth. There are so many other tools have emerged in the market, which is gaining so much of popularity that is allowing people to use this real-time technology. Right? So I have come across one tool called Ideal. It's a AI-driven tool. This gives a very accurate and very fair and unbiased way of taking decisions. In thousands and thousands of candidates, still it will identify where is the real-time error, how the error has to be fixed, and how the shortlisting can happen, and how the results can be declared accurately. So there are different tools got evolved over a period of time, but there is no tool than a human brain which can work as heavier, as super as anybody else. And that was the logic we used, especially in the previous case study, what I told you. And that generate great dividends. In fact, we paid 180% of hike to the people. We interviewed almost 260 to 80 candidates to pick up only 6 developers. So out of 260 candidates, we picked up 6 developers, and they were sent to China R&D to build a good app for Ascend phone, which was launching that point of time as one of the biggest smartphones. Right? So this is a simple case study example I would like to give you, Mr. James, and that will be more self-explanatory.
Thank you very much for the insight. Now, as I'm going to shift to Professor Vishwanath Raju, I'm going to shift the theme also for the interest of time. Right, okay. Now I'm going to go to the post-interview experience. Post-interview experience consists of feedback, if you can give it. If you say, no, I can't, it's beyond us and the current situation. A selection confirmation process without having to wait infinitely, okay. And then comes the onboarding, because some of them do fantastic speedy onboarding. This morning when I was teaching the executive PGDM, again, somebody was giving me an experience, 8 o'clock decision, 12 o'clock interview, 3 o'clock appointment order. He said, by 6 o'clock, I accept. And since I had already laid out, I joined after 15 days. I said I need 15 days for a break. Now, this whole process, he explained very experienced still. And as I want to put actually this question to Raju, asking you both, post-interview feedback experience, okay, selection confirmation, onboarding, of course, employee branding will be inbuilt in this process because if you do it. What's your views on that, and how, in relation to how the AI can be used, of course? Yeah.
So I would say AI can be used in sourcing, screening, and to max extent, assessing and all of that. But I think human, concept should come in when it comes to the selection process, right? So after selection, what happens is, you always see that the person is in two minds. There is a context of, whether the person joins or not. So you need to bring in little more element of, humanity into that. How do you make sure that you get little more gamification version into that? Last but not the least, from a data elements kind of a thing, right? So can you bring in little bit of elements of how do we use current data to use this particular algorithm to see whether this is working or not? So are we making some mistakes into the current scheme of things and all of that? So my son is just disturbing me. Give me a second.
Don't worry, let him disturb. This is permitted in the online mode. Because when I teach,
So what I was saying,
when I teach, cats and dogs and all come. I said, at least it distress you in the COVID time. Let the cats, dogs, and the sons also come in.
No. What I was
I have a
saying,
colleague of mine. Don't worry. I think we'll
Wish he has a better answer than you. You
let
should
him
allow
also
to
learn.
speak.
Okay, so he'll become a good artificial
Yeah.
intelligence.
So I'll tell you what I think. What I've done, I think what
Wish
we
give
have
him a
done.
chance. He will speak better than you.
Yeah, what we have done, which is working, is that we started giving feedback to people whom we are not shortlisting. When I say that, it may not be a elaborate feedback that, hey, you did not do well in Java and all that. And interesting observation, 3 months data, you will not believe, and I myself did not believe that the candidates got rejected actually got us CVs of friends who actually got selected. So you can understand the moment when you get that experience to that person, and this is mere a human being comes into picture, not AI, right? So AI cannot give you that personalized experience. So one of my recruiter, when we did this kind of an experiment, social experiment, he always closes requisitions through one channel, one person, and that becomes a chain altogether. And every time, whenever you pick up phone and talk to any of them or do some survey about this post offer follow up and all of that, all 5s out of 5s, right? So when we start looking at what person feels that, hey, do you really know what is our company? Okay, do you know what is a job? Okay, do you want me to explain what is this role? I want my hiring manager to tell you what is this role before even we interview. Most of the times the answer is no, but that question, because it is asked, that becomes personalized, and then this guy has 100% accepted. Nightmare, I'm sure Jaideep will agree, all of us agree that when we offer or not, right? So that is cut. Says until selection, I think AI does a great job. If that can be a value add, or it is more of enabler, but a human touch really is important. That is where a role of a human being comes into. That's pretty much.
So I think it's an indicator that what human beings could not do because they were engaged in the process of selection itself, they can shift it into feedback and consequently a fantastic employee branding. That's a very good insight. Okay, now I will, audience, if you've got any questions, please put it in the chat box so that I can actually share it with them. And many of you are there, so I'm sure you must be having some, questions. Okay. You are welcome to put comments, but if you put questions, I can ask them. If you put comments, obviously I can't ask them, that's your comments, right? Okay. So I want to ask you a little more, let's broaden this framework a little bit in the next 5-10 minutes we have. Okay, can we, take this AI's tool into learning and development and performance management? Because after all, organizations are looking for competency enhancement for the purpose of performance. You want to get the right chap. And then can we do something on the L&D aspects of it, at least at the lower level? I'm not talking about, complex, leadership training. Even there it is possible, but that I'm not referring to that kind of an AI, so that your routine, competency enhancement can take place through L&D, and whether any performance manage can also be done. I mean, you can join both together. And I will again start the ball rolling with Aditya sir. What is your views on that? Mr. Aditya, you can go.
So, L&D, obviously, AI will really help from a learning and perspective, because that's one area which you can, which has evolved a lot and which will continue to evolve a lot, because there's a lot of investment on talent. And if the organization invests in talent, they will control attrition, which is today a big factor for a lot of areas, where we can move into, One, it can look at personalizing the learning pathways, right? You can save time. You don't need to have one generic learning for everybody else, but then customize, learning pathways of saying, okay, for you, these are the preferable learnings in which you need to work in this direction, right? Basically, also looking at integrating training into more routine workflow, right? Looking at, how do you enhance the person's capability to do their current functions more better than what they're already doing from a fulfillment standpoint, right? It also enables, by virtue of giving accessibility from a learning and development perspective, you give them an angle of fulfillment through the learnings they would want to do than anything else. AI enables it to even measure the effectiveness of doing training. If somebody is done learning on a particular area, in due course of time, is this person using this learning from a performance or from a work standpoint? Is it effective or not effective, right? Then you have AI-based big digital tutors which are basically into skills of those particular areas, and all of this actually then drives into the performance management system, right? Because both performance management and learning and development are hand in glove, from a digitization perspective, because it's very important that you come back with a complete product back to the organization instead of having, generic point of views, generic setups from a performance standpoint. I'll let my colleagues also add on to it.
I'll shift to Jaydeep Reddy with a very pointed question. He said, okay, Jaydeep Reddy selected James, and James doesn't have one of the competency components, right? Okay. And would it be possible for using of AI and say James can develop this in the next 3 months, 1 month, or whatever it is, and then Jaydeep is comfortable taking James, required competencies -1, because my AI can actually, help James. I'm very confident he'll make it up. Yeah, that's the kind of question I want to do. Yeah.
Again, let me take back to about 10 years back, and way back to Accenture days, and then Adi might recall some of the stuff, right? We were doing a competency CAMS program, competence assessment program, every 6 months for the people, and based on that, there's a bonus which is attached also, right? Every time you improve your skill or enhance your skill, your ability to get money or monetary benefits from the organization increases as well, right? So if I am a Java developer today, and if I know that Java plus microservices would enable me to get a 3-month, additional monetary benefit, I would rather learn. And for that, the basics is, do I know Java and what percentage of Java I know? And this is all done on a platform. So which means that I know that, okay, if James takes a test, and then if he's able to do that Java is equal to 100% of Java, he knows 100%. And then addition of one module to that is about another 20%. That might take them 3 months or 4 months. And this is all built on the platforms. And today we don't have to go anywhere. We just need to go to, simple as go to LinkedIn Learnings and say that, okay, what is my skill competency on a particular skill? And then if I add another element to my skill competency, what does it take? And then it will also show you saying that, okay, the number of hours that you need to get trained to move into the novice or a 1 or a 2 level of competency. So it's already there. We just need to explore.
Yeah. So thank you very much for that insightful. I'm going to ask Vishnu Raju for the next one before I go to Mr. Nadeem. Vishwanath, what I really want to ask you is that in this, now talking you through the competencies, the performance management, and can you just say that, can you just tell me that in the HR framework, I leave the, total reward little bit out because it might be, I mean, not exactly an AI-enabled stuff. How do you envisage the AI to come up in the days to come?
Yeah,
What we know, we have got a good insight. Otherwise, we have got a little bit of insight into what we have now. Okay, an integrated view is what I'm going to ask quickly, all of you, because in the next 5 minutes, I need to actually get on to the, answering any question. Thank you. Thank you.
Very good. So I think, see, if there is a technology which is available, which is used to assess people outside, that can also be used to assess people for their performance management or promotion and all of that from a business partner standpoint. Second element that AI can be used is top talent management, right? Identifying the top talent, enabling the top talent to do the work that you are enabling them to do, and most importantly, ensuring that they are doing what you are asking them to do. Third is a lot of benefits and all you wanted to create in the organization. Before creating a benefit, you want to just take the pulse of the people, right? So a lot of these surveys and all of that can be done by these so-called chatbots and all of that, because they're also personalized. Last but not the least, I would also feel that a true integrated learning culture also can be created, because if you can assess what is required, if you can assess how you have to impart, AI can actually emulate the entire process to ensure that the person is given personalized assessment and training and module, everything will be given. So what I would say is that these are all handful things are available today. Now, what is the current problem statement? Do you feel that these algorithms can be useful for us? And if it is, then what are the things that we will do as a pilot, and how will we look at the data? And if data is looking good, then we get into prototype and make it a final thing as part of the design thinking process. So I think that a lot of companies are thinking about it. I have seen many companies, I cannot mention the names of the companies because I will be marketing them for various reasons, but I am seeing that at least good companies, around 30 to 40% of the companies have incubated at least 30 to 40% of AI already, right? So they have also already got the first mover advantage, right? So they're also seeing the fruits out of the whole thing. So I think it's up to us to see whether we should incubate or not. That's my views.
I will now ask Madhim, in one word or in one sentence or in 30 seconds, how can you say the future of integration of the AI?
I'm sorry, I think I missed out
No,
last thing.
I said in 30 seconds, can you tell us, because I'm really running on the time, in what do you see as the future of integration of AI across, talent acquisition to the final productivity, performance, and, with the person's working in the organization. I'm not saying he should work all his life, because everybody wants to live 4 or 5 years, let him live. But within that 4 or 5 years, he's living how he can be as effective to the organization and to himself, both sides. Okay, yeah. In one bit, how do you see it? Like,
Okay.
how do you see
So
the crystal gazing? How will you see it coming up? Yeah.
Okay. The quick thing what I would like to add in the interest of time is artificial intelligence as a buzzword, as a future of the industry. It is also bringing the reverse technology or the reverse way of understanding people, which is natural stupidity. Okay, so artificial intelligence is leading to a lot of natural stupidity. We should avoid it. The tools are available, are made to make our life easier and simpler, and also it will enable for the audience or the seekers to give the best experience. If any of these tools is not allowing us to reduce the work or reduce the burden or make it in a very smarter way, in the meanwhile offer the best experience for the user as well as the consumer, we don't need any of those any such kind of tools at all. Irrespective of the investment organization is going to make, we need to look for the well-being of the employees. My colleagues Vish, Adi, Jaideep, they are all here. That's the ultimate goal. I don't see there is any hurry we need to do in hiring people. If we are able to identify the risk of losing them on a short notice and rewind the wheel all over again, right? So these tools are very good. But on top of all these tools, we should use our super power tool, which is mind, which runs much faster than any of these tools, to take a very judgmental call and use the tools for the benefit of the organization and for mutual learning for everybody. If that is not coming in our way, I won't recommend any tool to be involved or assessed in any organization. That's the crux of the whole sentence. I can bring it to all our notice at this moment. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think we are coming to the close of this time. I think, going by the discussion, one important factor that came up is the objectivity in the talent acquisition, in getting the right people, and objectivity and customization in our ability to develop the person in an appropriate manner. These are the two anchors on which all organizational output really exists. Okay, and therefore, I think going ahead, HR will have a far more important role to play at the strategic level by bringing the appropriate competency to meet the business strategic needs. Okay, I wish this AI actually came about 40 years before when I joined the workforce, because people used to always tell me, James, you don't promote yourself, you don't promote your competency, because having said that, I said, now with you, the AI, I won't have to promote. I have to just be myself and my talent will be identified. Though I must admit that the Indian Army as my organization, despite not promoting myself, they found the way and give me the best of or challenging tasks, no doubt about it. I now hand you over to Neha, and for the thanking and the closing through our area chair, Professor Shaji. Neha, all yours.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, all of the panel members. And I would just request Professor Shaji to extend a vote of thanks and conclude our wonderful discussion.
Thank you, Neha. We have reached the end of the discussion. So let me take this opportunity, first of all, thank the audience, wonderful audience. And definitely we got some really interesting insights about the use of AI in HR. From the discussion, I'm really convinced that we were listening to some of the best brains to talk about AI. I hope the audience also agree the applications, the future of AI. That has been really wonderful. And also like to thank the host also, Professor James, my colleague, as well as the panel members, Mr. Aditya Pal Singh, Mr. Nadeem, Vishwanath Raju, and Jaydeep Reddy, who has agreed to share their vast experience. Finally, also, I would like to thank Jagdish Shet School of Management Studies for giving us this opportunity, the platform for this insightful discussion. I just want to maybe announce that also, because maybe this is the right platform. JAGSOM is launching a full-time PGDM in HR, especially with a special focus on the digital transformation, because that is the need of the hour. I'm sure that actually, because with all your blessings, we would be able to do justice for this program. And I request all the panel members, as well as maybe the people from the audience, maybe everybody, maybe just share your thoughts, maybe insights, as well as your support to extend to this program, to make it one of those best programs where we could produce some of the brilliant HR professionals in the country. So we look forward to much of these, many of these such interaction. Once again, from wholeheartedly, let me thank these wonderful, the panel members, and also Neha for, maybe coordinating, and other team. Okay, Midun. So thank you so much. And once again, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Before I do my closing up, once again, great thanks to Nadeem, Aditya, Raju, and Jaydeep, once again, personally from me, to all the audience who have actually requested for a summary of a synopsis of today's proceedings. We would process it from our recordings in a day or two, and we will mail it to you. If you don't get it by next Thursday, I think I would request you to send a mail to us, and then to the Jagdish Shet and to the address, and then we'll probably be able to do that. But you should be able to get into that. Any other last remark? Okay. So thank you very much. I think we are well on time. I actually kept very strict control on time, and so that both the audience and the panelists can go for the next job. Started on time, and probably finishing 1 minute before. I think it is okay for any other question. Thank you very much.
Probably you can upload it in YouTube, Mr. James.
Yeah,
That will be
okay.
easier.
Thank you very much. And we'll do that. We'll do that. It'll be a wonderful opportunity. Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
much.
you, James.
Thank you so
all.
much. Thank you so much,
Thank
Raja.
you.
Thank you so much, Aditya. We're looking forward to
Adi.
interact with you in person
Jaideep.
very
Thank you.
soon. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Thank
Thanks,
you, my
Nadeem.
friend.
Thanks, Jaideep.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Jaideep.
Aditya.
Thank you. Bye.
And all the audience, wonderful audience joining on time. Thank you very much and have a good day. Great day. Stay safe.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
sir.
Thank you all. Bye.
Good job, Professor James. Good.
Well, out, done. I can go to sleep now.
That's good.
Okay.